Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Fiddle Eagles Now. It is time for a mailbag video, but first, if you guys want to get in on next week's mailbag video, go down below, use the hashtag Eagles, ask any question you want to go ahead and get me to answer. Be a subscriber, it's important, and then, of course, I'll hopefully go ahead and pull it in next week's mailbag video. So if you want your chance to get it in next week's, go down below and ask away using the hashtag Eagles. All right, before we jump into all of your mailbag questions, I want to quickly jump into the news that broke just a couple of minutes ago, and that is that Miles Sanders is officially on short-term IR. Now, there's not necessarily any surprise to this report. The ankle injury we all saw against the Las Vegas Raiders last Sunday was bad enough to make us think it's going to be at least a couple of games. He was listed as week to week, so you kind of thought maybe he could be back sooner rather than later, but nope, today officially on short-term IR, so he will be out at least the next 3 weeks, and that means that now it'll be the Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott show, and you saw this in the second half of the Raider game anyway. Boston Scott got really his first couple of touches of the entire season. They've hardly used him this year because they love, of course, Sanders and Gainwell so much whenever they would actually run the football. But this is your new running back depth chart without Miles Sanders, and so we'll see if they elevate anybody else, but right now you expect to have a two-headed monster of Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott there in the backfield. Drop a like right now to wish Miles Sanders a speedy recovery. Hopefully he's going to be back and good to go, and hopefully he has no lingering ankle issues, because that continues to kind of be a problem in the modern day NFL where people get ankle injuries or issues, and then they are out for a little longer than expected. But at least 3 weeks, a minimum of 3 weeks, Sanders will be done. Well, will they run the ball now? That's kind of my final thought on this. Like, if it was a vendetta against Sanders, like some people on Twitter joked about, I don't think it was. Does this mean they're going to pound the rock a lot? It would be kind of ironic if they actually ran the ball a ton against the Lions on Sunday, like 20 times to Kenneth Gainwell, and 15 to Boston Scott. It would almost be comical at this point if they actually started running the football now that Miles Sanders is not going to be on the field. But either way, all jest aside, we wish him the best. Hopefully he's going to be back. But that's the news we had to lead into to begin our mailbag video. And now we start with your questions. Antwine Howell says, why do the Eagles hire head coaches who wants to call plays? Why not utilize the offensive coordinator? I think it should open up our offense instead of being so stagnant. I disagree with this. I don't think the issue right now is the fact that Nick Sirianni calls plays. Like, the entire offensive staff designs those plays. This isn't just Nick Sirianni going, here are my plays, we're going to run them. And Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, helps call the plays. In the beginning of the year, he would make a call, relay it to, it would be a start from Sirianni. He'd make the call to Shane Steichen, then Steichen would go into Jalen Hurts' ear. But Steichen is very much involved in the offense. Like, this is not let me just say this. The problem with the Eagles offense is not that Nick Sirianni is calling plays. It's the plays that he's calling. And a different offensive coordinator or letting Shane Steichen call the plays wouldn't change much, because he's in the install meetings every single week. And so this is not a who's calling the plays problem. It's a what the plays are. It doesn't matter who's making the calls here. It's the fact that they are not making very smart calls overall. And so hopefully they're going to start making better calls overall. But I think the real change that you're hoping for in order to improve Jalen Hurts and improve the rest of the offense is maybe a completely new offensive system, but that would come with potentially firing Nick Sirianni, and obviously they're not doing that, at least for now, anytime in the next couple of weeks. Okay, ad break, pin comment down below. Rate the Eagles' play calling so far. It's been atrocious. Scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give it like a 3. It's been really, really bad. Again, it'll be a pin comment down below, and while you're down there, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to stay subscribed to the channel. I want to see your comments on how bad the Eagles' play calling has been right now. All right, next mailbag question comes from Tim G. He says, should we be in tank mode? The Lions are the first overall pick as of now, which Miami, our second pick, with Miami, our pick, second overall, should we lose on purpose? No team loses on purpose, but it does feel like the Eagles are tanking already. Like, doesn't it kind of feel like we are already tanking without actually trying? Like, I know the guys are actually trying. Like, there is 0% chance the Eagles are losing on purpose and calling bad plays on purpose and trying to get the highest draft picks as possible. There is no secret pact between Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni to throw this season. Like, that's not a thing. But it does feel like the way that they're calling plays right now, that they already are kind of losing a lot of games, which they are, and which means that they are tanking. So there isn't tanking in the modern NFL, but the Eagles are doing a very good job of making sure they have a chance to get a very high draft pick, and it looks like they will, because as it currently stands, they have the 6th overall draft pick, which is their own, but Miami has that 2nd overall draft pick. That could become number 1 overall. Like, if the Lions beat us on Sunday, the Dolphins lose again, that becomes the number 1 overall draft pick, at least for this week. So it's crazy what's going on right now in Philadelphia. I mean, we're all so excited for the draft, yet I would love to actually start winning football games this year, but You know, you got to just do what you got to do. So they're not tanking on purpose. I don't think they should tank on purpose. They won't tank on purpose. But I do think that is something to keep an eye on here. If we keep losing games, at what point will you just accept that you're not going to go anywhere and, continue to lose and then hopefully get a high draft pick, as it seems like the Eagles already will. Before we get into the next mailbag question here, be sure to check out our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet is the link that you need. Use the promo code Eagles125. Get that 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. And it gives you a chance to bet on my picks of the week, which I'm going right here below. Atlanta -3 versus the Panthers. I am going to take Detroit to cover versus Philadelphia. I really hope I'm wrong. I've said that all week. The Titans -1 against the Colts is criminal. That's my biggest bet of the week. I'm going to put probably $15 on that versus 10, as I don't bet a lot of money, but I have a lot of fun with it. Chargers -5.5 versus the Patriots, and the Bucks -5.5 at the Saints. Those are all going to go ahead and be my picks of the week. Again, jump in on these as I've had a winning record. If you guys want to follow me or bet with your own, gut or your head or whatever you want to do with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Promo code is Eagles125. Steelgoat Gaming says the Eagles currently have the second overall pick thanks to the Dolphins. Who would you take? I would take Kayvon Thibodeau, Thibodeau, if you want to say his last name, or Derek Stingley. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they would do unless it is a quarterback. Talked about that in a video yesterday. But these are my 4 favorite guys in the draft right now. And this will change because as we get into draft season, I'll watch more film on these guys and have some differing opinions. But Thibodeau seems to be the pick. The Oregon defensive end, if he's there at number 2 and Philly is at number 2, I think you take him 100%. It's like a Chase Young. It's like getting a TJ Watt. It's like getting a game-changing pass rusher the Eagles really need, especially since Brandon Graham is going to be coming back from injury, and he's a little older. I think you've got to get a pass rusher for sure. If you aren't sitting there at 2, Stingley, the cornerback out of LSU, would be a great pick. Steven Nelson's going to leave after this year. He's a free agent. I like Kyle Hamilton as well, the safety out of Notre Dame. Not as sexy of a pick in my opinion, but they say he's Derwin James on steroids, and so you like the sound of that because Derwin James is an absolute playmaker, although I just don't think safeties are as important as a corner or a pass rusher. And then I do like Chris Olave. We mentioned earlier the Colts had the 13th overall draft pick. They give that to us. That could be a good spot to get another wide receiver, and Olave, to me, is the best receiver in this draft and would be a good complement to one Devontae Smith. 123 says, if Jalen Hurts is not the guy for next year, do you think we should draft a quarterback or trade for someone like Mitch Trubisky? Definitely not Mitch Trubisky. Listen, if Hurts isn't the guy, you do draft a quarterback because the free agent quarterbacks next year aren't great. You're not going to trade for Deshaun Watson. I don't think you're going to go have a chance to get Aaron Rodgers, although that's the one free agent quarterback that I would go out and get, although, again, he's not going to be available. So, yeah, you would draft a quarterback for sure. And like we talked about yesterday, they apparently, according to Todd McShay, should go after Malik Willis, who's the quarterback out of Liberty, and they say is a, Cam Newton-type player, but with better pocket presence. A big Russell Wilson is how I like to go ahead and call him after watching a little bit of film on Malik Willis. So I'm very much against signing somebody to be the quarterback of the future. You got to find out who's the next quarterback for the next 10 years. If it's not Hurts, and I hope it is, then I think Malik Willis or someone else, a Matt Corral, or a Desmond Ridder. Those are the top quarterbacks in the draft this year. So draft somebody and then build around them properly, unlike you did with Carson Wentz. Do you guys think the Eagles will draft a quarterback next year? I think they will. Type Y down below for yes. I think they will not. Go ahead and type N down below for no. I'm hoping they don't, but the way it's going right now, it would not surprise me if one of the first-round draft picks is actually a quarterback. John Cable says, maybe this is a hot take. Let's see. But I think we had the same record with different coaches. I think Gannon sucks, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think the personnel is there at all. Linebacker, safety, quarterback, defensive end, D-line, O-line, depth. I disagree. I think the Eagles' record is mostly due to coaching. Like, I feel very confident in my preseason assumption that Philadelphia's roster wasn't bad. Like, I think the Eagles roster is pretty good. You mentioned defensive end and D-line depth. You mentioned linebackers and safeties. Safeties have been fine. It's the linebackers that are the one weakness on this team. I think this team could at least be 500 if you had better play calling. And I'm specifically talking about the defense. Like, the offense has had its moments of good and bad, more bad than good, but they've still at least been somewhat decent at times, and I say decent being a little bit generous there, but the defensive play calling is atrocious. Like, they literally give the defense no chance to be successful. This prevent defense that they play, for whatever reason, makes no sense. It doesn't work, and they give up a ton of points because of it. And I think there have been some games where if they had not been so bad defensively in terms of the play calling, they would have actually won and gotten us close to 500. So it's not all coaching. There definitely is personnel issues, and you highlighted some of those, but it's a lot more coaching than you'd think. And I honestly think if Gannon wasn't the defensive coordinator, we'd have a competent one in there, we'd at least be sitting here at 500. Mentioned earlier this week, trying to do it again, trying to get to 3,000 followers on Twitter. So I'm trying to get my personal channel up there to 3K. At Real Thomas Mott is the place you need to go on Twitter. I tweet a ton of Eagle stuff. Also DM me your questions if you guys have any of those. I respond to a lot of those on a given basis. So follow me on Twitter at Real Thomas Mott. All right, one more here, and we'll wrap up the weekend. Another week of great videos. Reverend Bebop says, if the Eagles lose and continue to on the current path, you see Sirianni getting fired, and is Kellen Moore a possible replacement? I feel he could develop Hurts way better. You know, we heard the rumor last week that they could fire, that they're not going to fire Sirianni. It's still very early. If he does, here's the deal. Here are my top 5 coaching candidates from an offensive perspective. Now, there are a lot of good defensive candidates out there. Todd Bowles is one of them, but I like an offensive guy, and these are obviously the 5 best, and these will be the 5 names you see next year. Brian Daboll, the Bills OC, is my favorite. I would love him. What he's done with Josh Allen and that offense is incredible. I don't think he'd actually come to Philadelphia, but if you could give him full control, I would definitely go to Brian Daboll. Bieniemy is the other name. Obviously, the Chiefs' offense has gone downhill a lot, and so his stock is falling a little bit, but Bieniemy seems to be a top candidate out there. You mentioned Kellen Moore. I'm not sold on Kellen Moore, but you can't deny what he's been able to do with Dak and Dallas the past 2 years, so definitely a candidate. I like Byron Leftwich. I think Leftwich, along with Tom Brady, has created a really great offense there, and he's obviously learned a lot under Tom Brady as well. I think Leftwich is a good option. And then a sneaky candidate is Joe Brady, who his stock is going to go down, but I think it's because Sam Darnold stinks. I don't think it's because Joe Brady stinks. I think it's because Sam Darnold stinks. So those are my top 5, but obviously you have to fire Sirianni before that happens, and we are way too early. We got a lot of games left before we can go ahead and decide if that is going to go ahead and happen. All right, ultimate for today on our Photo of Eagles Now mailbag video. Again, hashtag Eagles down below to get in on next week's mailbag videos. Make sure you guys are subscribed because we have plenty of great content coming up as we'll break down the game on Monday. Hopefully we're breaking down a win, but at this point, who really knows, because we're not that confident in our Eagles. Again, I'm Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.